Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ample Scramble. We're going to get right down to business. This video, we're taking at the rebuilding process of the Detroit Pistons. Being a former Detroiter, born and raised in Detroit, you grew up a Piston fan. I remember the glory days of the Pistons. I remember the Bad Boys era, and the era with Rasheed Wallace, Chauncey Billups, and those guys. So we had a lot of good years going on, but some kind of way we fell out of the race and out of the hunt, and haven't been in the hunt for a few years. Yeah, we did make the playoffs a couple of seasons ago, and that was a plus. We were going in the right direction, but we just couldn't put it together and get back to where we are supposed to be as far as a top tier team in the Eastern Conference. We never sucked wind in the Eastern Conference. I mean, if we did, it was just for a brief moment, but nothing of this magnitude of absence from the prominence of the NBA. But let's get right down to it. These are just my suggestions on some of the things that we could do as Detroit Pistons fans and as an organization. The things that they could do to get this thing turned around. These are just my suggestions. I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there with suggestions as well, but these are some key moves and things that I think will help the Detroit Pistons. First of all, one of the players that I'd be trading for would be Maurice Wagner out of University of Michigan. I would take a look at possibly trading him to the Washington Wizards, or acquiring him from the Washington Wizards, I say, for Louis King. And the reason I say that, you got a decent small forward that can provide some scoring, either off the bench or as a starter. I'm really big on this guy. I have been since his days at University of Michigan, and I think this is a golden opportunity for the Detroit Pistons to make a move and bring that fella back to Michigan. He would be a monumental player in my eyes if they made that deal. He seems to be falling out of love with a lot of people in the league or a lot of teams. I think it's just a lot of bad publicity, but I think they need that toughness from him on the roster. And another trade I would propose for the Detroit Pistons would be the Blake Griffin experiment. I love the man and all. He's a pretty decent, pretty good guy. He gave his heart and soul to this team, but we just couldn't put anything together as far as a supporting cast for him. And I think he deserves a lot better approaching, which is possibly the end of his career in the next few years, with him retiring or whatever from the league. But I think he still has some good years left in him. So I'm just proposing the trade of sending Blake Griffin, Luke Kennard, Sequoia, and a first-round pick to the Denver Nuggets for Michael Porter Jr., Bol, and Gary Harris. Everyone has seen this past postseason the future of the NBA in Michael Porter Jr. I mean, he's a prolific scorer. I like his attitude on the court, and I think he has a will to win. And I think that's something that the Pistons would really, really benefit from, is having a player of that magnitude. And he could be the cornerstone of the franchise, bringing him in. And I say Bol also, because you get a big man in Bol that's able to shoot the three. He's able to play kind of sort of like an Anthony Davis, offensive sets. He's able to dribble. He's able to shoot. He can handle the rock. And I think that would be a great addition to the Pistons. Also, I'm bringing back Gary Harris, a former Michigan State Spartan. I will bring him in at one of your the shooting guard position. And I think that between Michael Porter Jr. and Gary Harris, you shore up a heavy chunk of offensive needs that this team has been lacking for the past few seasons. Moving on, I'm proposing trading Langston Galloway, Tony Snell, and the second-round pick to Oklahoma City. And the guy that's on the radar for me that will fit well and make this one hell of a backcourt would be Dennis Schroder. I mean, this guy he's awesome out there on the court. He gets overlooked a lot because he's playing in Oklahoma City, which people say is a small market. But, outside of Westbrook and Kevin Durant, he's been one of the top players that's come through that organization, along with Chris Paul. Chris Paul only played, one season there. But I think Dennis Schroder would be a great addition to the Detroit Pistons as well. Another player that I like taking a look at from the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I don't know how this would be possible, if he goes into free agency, would be Danilo Gallinari. I think that would be a good addition. You have a good big man that can shoot the three and spread the floor for you. So I'm fitting him into the equation as well when we're talking about doing a rebuild. Moving on, I'm looking at trading Jordan Bone and John Henson to Boston, and whatever else they would ask for, without breaking the bank, for Daniel Tyson. Daniel Tice is a big body, kind of reminds me of Rick Mahorn, who was an enforcer inside for the Detroit Pistons for some seasons. And I think that's one thing that they're, lacking is someone with that bulk to get in and pound the boards and pound the bodies under the basket and in the paint. So, he's really sticking out to me as someone that the Pistons should go to as far as shoring up that front line down there under the basket. So, and going back over to Michael Porter Jr., seeing him play for the Denver Nuggets, he has a kind of passion that I haven't seen in a while from a Pistons player. Blake exhibited some of that passion, to win games and a competitive attitude, but Michael Porter Jr. has that same attitude, same mentality along the lines of a Russell Westbrook and a Dennis Rodman. So I really think the Pistons should, kind of eye on acquiring him from the Denver Nuggets. I mean, if the Denver Nuggets want to let him go, but I'm sure you could put together a trade package of some sort to, get him out here. I don't know. We just got to do something to get this boat moving again. So, with that being said and done, I'm looking at the Pistons having a starting lineup of Dennis Schroder as your point guard, Gary Harris as your shooting guard, Daniel Tice as your center, Christian Wood will be your power forward, and you have a small forward in Michael Porter Jr. You could also play the guard position. So that's what I will be looking at as far as a starting lineup for the Pistons. And going over to the bench, you have Bol at the center position, Thon Maker at the center position. You got two bigs there. You're still keeping a veteran point guard off the bench in Derrick Rose. You got Wagner coming off the bench as a power forward. You're hanging on to Bruce Brown at the shooting guard, hanging on to Zvi as a small forward. And, that would, I think that would make the Pistons competitive again. We also got a few other players that I will look at signing to the roster, via free agency or just, undrafted and, just get some of these guys back. And one of them would be small forward Harrison Curry out of University of Detroit Mercy. Power forward Gerald Blackshear Jr. out of University of Detroit Mercy. Kenny Goins, I think he's playing overseas now, but he was the star on that Michigan State roster not too long ago. And it'd be a sweet homecoming. We put a couple of veterans on the bench in Jamal Crawford and Trey Burke, and it's amazing to me that Jamal Crawford never never adorned the Detroit Pistons uniform. I don't know what's up with that, and he's been in the league so many years. It seemed like at some point in time, this organization would have, pursued him heavily and put him on a roster. We could have used his three-point shooting some years ago, and things would have been quite different. It just sucks that the Blake Griffin experiment didn't work out. Sucks for him. I know there were injuries involved, but Andre Drummond was there with him as well, and it just didn't work out with that roster. We got rid of a lot of players. Got rid of Reggie Jackson, who was in the backcourt, whom I thought was a good player. He was a great player, had great intensity, but I think what happened was the process with the Detroit Pistons and their dedication to winning didn't meet his expectations. But the guy could ball out, when given the chance. And, had we surrounded, he and Blake with a lot more talent, then there's no telling where this team would be today. But those are just some of my suggestions, to get this thing turned around and get this team back to being prominent in the league. We'll be doing a little bit more on the Detroit Pistons here pretty soon, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that, and be on the lookout for those videos that'll be coming up here soon. Any extent, hope you all having a great day, and we appreciate you visiting Apple Scramble. And while you're here, check out some of our word searches and word scrambles and puzzles and things like that, and test your brain power. Anyways, guys, take care. Thanks for visiting. Bye.